We are live through the
What's up, Harley?
airwaves. What's going on, E? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm getting ready for vacation next week. I'm very excited. I'm not going to be here on the show, but
It's true. We will miss you.
you know, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to drive to the beach for 5 days. It's going to be nice. I'm
Oh,
really
man.
excited.
Which beach are you going to?
We're going, to Greenport in Long Island, where my mom's family's from. So we were going to do a whole family trip with my aunt and my cousins and everything, and their baby, and have some family time. But we're just going to do us, and my parents are coming down from Boston, so it'll be some nice family time either way.
That will be nice.
Yeah. It's a big trip for older folks, but we decided it was worth it to get some
that's
time.
sweet. The Goldsteins are back.
Yeah.
I like to think of them as like driving, one of those wood panel sedans. No, wait. Like the
one of the Oldsmobiles?
Yeah, the Oldsmobiles. The wood car.
Dude, that's the car we used to take to raves, man. My friend James used to drive it. We called it the Enterprise. And it was like we'd always put like 7 or 8 people in there. There was one time we got pulled over actually driving to a party in Maine, and I was in the back, and there was like a blanket back there, and I just hid under the blanket.
No way.
And the cop like went around the whole car, like showing the light in, didn't see me, and like just it was at like 10 at night or something, or 11, going to the party, and like just nothing, just let us go.
You're lucky you hadn't cracked your glow sticks yet.
Right?
Luckily, you would have shown through the blanket.
Jeez, we got really lucky there. Because James was black too, so like, and it's Maine.
Oh,
so
my
that
God.
was actually like
Wow, that's a close call.
Close call looking back on it. But we survived.
I'd like to petition,
another day.
I'd like to petition for someone to bring back the wood paneling on the side of cars. Maybe Tesla. Could be a Tesla wood car.
Tesla would like to go with their
sandalwood.
You get a wooden version of the what's the Cybertruck? Get a Cybertruck with wood paneling. Make it even more ugly.
Well, speaking about what is not ugly and what is beautiful,
segue.
How about our background today? Yes. This is an incredible mural from a guest that we've got popping in quickly. Elo, you want to bring him up to speed?
Yeah. An old friend who I met on a dance floor years ago. Angela Del Sol. She does a lot of different activism work and art, and this is a project that she recently completed with some other artists in Brooklyn called the Creative Resilience Mural Project.
Awesome.
And we can let her talk more about it, but I thought it was beautiful, and it's doing some work to empower the community and also just kind of brighten people's lives during these difficult times. So that'd be cool to have her on. She's going to pop in for a little bit.
Very cool.
Before we get to the main event, which is AceMoMa, aka AceMo and MoMa Ready, to New York, up and coming, or I guess they've kind of blown up now, artists.
Yeah, they're up.
Yep, they're up. They make really dope kind of avant-garde techno and house and break beats and just kind of genreless dance music, which we are big supporters of. So we have them on, and it'll be great.
Also, one of our first guests where we are a tag team DJ act interviewing another tag team DJ act.
That's right.
So this is going to be interesting. We can talk about all the nooks and crannies of what it's like to be out on the road with your partner.
Right.
So,
yeah. But before we get into all that, let's roll the intro.
This is something special for you.
Schmoozing.
So that's it.
Lucy, bamboozle.
Schmoozing.
Cocorico. Talk amongst yourselves.
Schmoozing.
So
are you ready?
The show's about to start.
Yes. So I wanted to just address one thing before we bring on Angela, which is something that came up. Terry brought up last time, which is justice for Breonna Taylor, which is something that we see pop in and out of our social media feeds, but it's something that we should just talk about every show until there's been some kind of ramifications for the police officers that broke into her home without announcing themselves and then shot her 5 times, killing her, and left her to bleed out on the floor without calling an ambulance. So if you want to get involved and learn more, go to justiceforbrianna.org.
We pop that on the screen there.
Demanding justice for this woman. She was an EMT, so a frontline worker who was saving lives in a time of COVID and was murdered in cold blood by the Louisville police. So let's do what we can to fight that one.
Amen.
And now on to something inspiring and positive. Let's bring in Anela Del Sol.
Hi, Anela. Welcome.
Hi, Charlie. Hi, Eli.
How's it going?
Where are you at right now?
Yeah, and what is beautiful behind you, too? That's a very interesting...
That's the Virgin right there.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm in an artist residency in Hudson, New York right now. It's this beautiful state, maybe 2.5 hours from New York City. And I'm out here working on biophilic art and just learning tons about nature, foraging, building composting toilets, and just like really understanding the land. It's really fascinating. I've never done this in my life, so it's pretty cool.
This is like a perfect time to get out and go do an artist residency upstate. Incredible. Yeah, this is fortuitous timing.
Yeah, it was a great time, and I was thinking a lot about food security. So the first thing that I thought about when COVID started is food security. So I started thinking about, I've always thought about this, but I guess during COVID, it was just very clear that we need to know where our water comes from, where our food comes from. Is our land healthy? How are we building our homes? Who owns our homes? Do we own our homes? All of those big questions.
I think, this is a big thing that brought us up here as well, is really getting closer to the process of where our food comes from, and really being involved with that is so important. We see with COVID, like, really threatened the supply chain at some point there. Luckily, food didn't feel like it was running out. I mean, food was running out from the groceries because people were buying too much of it. But
it's very specific items, though, at least where I was at. And more than anything, toilet paper. I mean, you can't eat.
I'm saying, that was beyond the food. That was like what really was the shortage. But there could easily be food shortages in similar situations. I think it's something that we really need to be talking about and thinking about for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that especially for all of us former city dwellers, New Yorkers, Brooklynites, or from, we're global citizens and we mostly just travel around cities. And I think this time is really inviting us to think about new systems and just being more connected with where things come from, which is a really exciting phase for humanity. I think about a lot of these things. I'm an activist, I'm a social entrepreneur, a curator, and I'm very passionate about using art and music as a tool to start conversations and do it in a way that people can look away because they're so beautiful. So during the quarantine, I was planning on painting a mural before the quarantine in New York City. But it was just something that I was going to paint, and it was just a creative project for myself. And then when the quarantine happened, I thought that it needed to be bigger. And during some of these online events, like Zoom events, I met the founder of a nonprofit called the Brave House. Her name is Lauren, and it's an organization that works with immigrant young girls to support them with their legal fees and also creates community for them. And when I met her, I was very impressed by her work and her community and just all of the things that she was doing for these girls that come here to the United States, running away from violence, sexual abuse, sexual trafficking, just like really hard lives. And I decided to work with them on this mural. So I connected with them, and then the girls and I started creating and weaving this mural project for 4 months.
Wow.
That's amazing.
How long does it take to create a mural like on the scale of what you're doing?
Well, it took, so there's different stages to the creative process. First is coming up with the idea, and then is having the courage to even pursue something like that, right? Then is finding a wall, figuring out permits, and then there's the funding aspect of it, of like, how are we going to fund this project? And then there's the process of the conceptualization, which is the most important, which is what are we going to paint? That the entire city is in the heart of the Lower East Side, right by a park and a public school. School is closed now. The park is filled with homeless men, for the most part, that have mental illness, drug addiction. So it's a really rough area. And yeah, we just had to think, what do we want to express for ourselves, but something that the world will see and connect with. So that process took 3 months, meeting on Zoom every Wednesday.
Something that's really always like really inspired me about your work is like the interdisciplinary way you look at it all. Like it's not like one medium of art. It's not like one kind of activism. It's like what is inspiring you like we get to connect like every year or so. And there's always something else that you are inspired by and curious about. And you let that kind of guide you to the project and like what that is. And like, how did that with this mural, like how did you decide that a mural was the most important way for you to express yourself right now? And like, how did that whole process go?
That's a great question. And you're right. I'm so thankful to just come to peace that as an artist, I have different mediums. So from dancing, from curation, from films, from directing, like all these things, I'm accepting that in my lifetime, that's what I'm here to do. And right now it's a mural, tomorrow but might be a puppet show. Like I'm not attached with the outcome as long as I'm expressing myself.
We love puppets.
I love puppets. That's my next
You gotta love puppets.
Yep.
So I think that for this particular project, I thought that New York City went through a really intense traumatic moment, being the epicenter of this pandemic. And New York City also represents a lot of things to the world. So when you go abroad and you talk about the United States, most people think of New York, and maybe Miami sometimes, like Miami Vice, and like there's all these stereotypes of America. But New York City is a staple of our country, I think, in the world. And we had a very traumatic time during the pandemic, and I wanted to bring some light. And I think that this is the best time for all artists, creatives, to start making music, to write poetry, to document what we're living through history. And I really hold this vision of a creative renaissance that's happening right now, because it's the first time in history that we've had this much time in our hands to just stop and some of us to like think about what's going on, to evaluate, to revise. So I figured that if I held that idea of a creative renaissance, I need to start it myself. So I hope that this project inspires more artists in New York City to just create as much as they can.
Awesome.
That's so important right now is creating. I think both for the dealing with our feelings of stress and anxiety around the pandemic, but then also, there's so much happening in politics right now and in our country and around the world, and we need, more love and creation. And I think artists, musicians, we all have such a huge responsibility to push for that positive.
Let's take a look at some of these murals, some of the photos.
Yeah.
So that was the wall.
Through?
Yeah, let's see. Walk us through.
So that was the wall, and maybe as we continue moving forward, this was painted on a a legendary mural from an artist called Cobra. So we painted over that, and this is the main artist that we collaborated with. Her name is Danielle Maestron, and she's a New York City staple. She's been a muralist, a teacher, an anthropologist for many years, and I really looked up to her work. And when I told her about the project, she said yes right away, and then she just became part of this Zoom therapy, art therapy, for like 3 months. And yeah, and then the girls that helped us paint it, there were 4 girls from the Brave House, who are the nonprofit that I mentioned earlier. They're super bright. They're all immigrants. And they were just it was so beautiful to learn from them and seeing their creative confidence grow. It's like some of them have never painted before, ever. And they not only conceptualized a mural, but they did it in a public space in New York City. And just their can control and just their ability for composition and colors was just really impressive. That was when ABC News came to do a little segment on us.
This is the one we're seeing behind us right now, yeah?
Yes, that lady there. And that was day 1, which is really nice to see that media is picking up this story, because I think we have so much this year has been like the apocalypse. It's been so negative that I think having some uplifting stories really help all of us. And that's some of the girls, and Sam to the right. She has, she's the art teacher for the girls, and some of the girls come from Ecuador, El Salvador, Congo, and all of them have really incredible stories of resilience and strength. And, I wanted to use this mural as a way to talk about immigration, because right now, I'm an immigrant myself. I'm very thankful to be a citizen and be fine, but many people in our country are not. And as you know, our current leader is doing a terrible job at really upholding the values of where the nation was built on, which is diversity, is inclusion, immigration. So this composition is basically all of our faces together. At first, we thought about creating this Gaia-like woman, but then we started to think about resiliency and strength and courage, and it all came back to all of us, to our own resilience and our own courage. So, yeah, these are some snaps from the process.
Is it feel strange to go and paint over? You said it was a legendary or a very famous mural. Do you feel like any guilt? And because what you've done is clearly beautiful, but I wonder if it's something that's really, had a value in that particular community, or to mural.
Actually, no. It's funny enough, because Cobra is a very famous artist and he has an amazing work. You can recognize it. But he's not from New York City. And when this is the mural, this is what we painted over. His mural got tagged 2 weeks after he painted it. All of the people in the neighborhood were not okay with him. So actually, our mural hasn't been touched by any graffiti so far.
Fingers crossed.
And everyone are really happy with the process. We had one of the homeless men that was at the park. He said how beautiful seeing us work was, and now they have some sort of neighborhood watch. And not only did we painted a mural, we created a library. So we created a little bookshelf where we can pick up a book, drop off a book. So it was really, really special.
Very cool.
It's beautiful.
Well, yeah, Angela, thank you so much for sharing this project with us. Where can people find out more info about what you're doing, what you do, and the project?
Thank you. Yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram. Is my name, Angela Del Sol. And if you want to learn more, I post a lot of things on my personal website, which is my name, angeladelsol.com. And if anyone is interested in doing more public art projects, please get in touch. I'm always very keen on collaborating with other artists.
Awesome.
I look
Thank you so
forward
much.
to connecting with you up here, upstate, and seeing what we can cook up.
Yes, please come and visit.
We'll do. All right. Great to see you.
All right,
Amanda.
take care. That's super dope.
Yes, it's great to get some inspiration from an artist who's doing some amazing work.
Doing the good work.
Yep. I love it. I mean, there's always like I mentioned, there's just always such a connection between like ideas and exploration and curiosity, and then turning that into beautiful art that also is positive, creates positive action in the world. So I love what Angela does.
Awesome.
I think we're bringing in some other artists who definitely have a clear vision of what they're trying to do as well, which is really amazing to get them in here and have a chat with. AceMo and MoMa Ready. What is up?
Bring them in.
Hello.
What's up, gentlemen?
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Whoa. Chilling.
Look, this is like a lot of synchronicity here because our last Angela just joined us from Hudson, and I see you wearing the upstate T-shirt representing all things upstate.
Yes.
We ain't never told a lie.
I was also gonna say, like, this is the first time we've had guests on the show together, not in separate places. So this is a momentous occasion here.
Well, there was Inner City.
Oh, that's right. They were all in Detroit. Never mind.
They were all in Detroit.
That's so cool that you have me here. Yeah, that's great. Shout out Inner City.
Shout out to Inner City. Shout out to Kevin and Dantes.
Yeah.
Steffi. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what are you guys up to? You're in Brooklyn, right? What's it like there right now?
We're in Ridgewood right now. Yeah, we're in Ridgewood.
Oh, in Ridgewood. You're in Queens. Sorry.
District.
Neighbors.
We've been chilling today, like making music. Yeah, chilling. Taking long strolls, making music, and smoking marijuana. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean,
and making music.
That's like, I think, a key ingredient to some of the quarantine blues. I mean, maybe just a key ingredient in general. Shout out to marijuana.
Big shout out.
You're good.
Out there, it's okay. Big solid shout out. It's all good. Completely fine.
That's great. What kind of is there a strain that you guys particularly enjoy, or we haven't really talked weed on the show so much, but we smoke weed, so it's okay.
Yeah. What were we smoking right now? Pink Panther. Yeah,
the Pink Panther.
Smoking some GMO myself yesterday.
Oh wow!
That, I had I forgot some cookie lotto.
It's good if you can't remember the strain that you're smoking. That's a good sign, especially when you get to pick them by the strain. Like I remember in New York. Now that I'm down in Miami, everything just comes in a big bag.
Yeah,
that's it. It's more feels like it's more about quantity than quality down here.
Yeah,
they got the Crippy. I've always had the Crippy down here, like a hazy kind of cushy hazy. I was thinking about getting my medical card, but
Florida has medical. That's what you got to do.
It's true. I didn't get my card yet.
It's a good thing to have. Card. You
What's
get, like, CBD leaning weed, so you don't feel like you're gonna die from anxiety.
CBD is like the truth, man. I'm a big advocate for CBD gummy bears.
I haven't gone down that road, but I definitely want to advise my relatives to take that kind of thing. I think it's a good thing to.
Awesome.
Methods.
So are you? Did you guys? I want to hear a little bit about how you guys linked up, and Eli was talking a little bit backstage about how skateboarding is very important in both of your lives, and I take it marijuana is maybe a unifying force that's brought you guys together. I'm curious, where you come from, and also like what role does marijuana play in your artistry and in your lifestyle?
What was the end of the question? Yeah, what was the end of the question?
I'll do it slower. Let me do it stonier for you guys. So, like, how did you guys meet up? And, like, what role does marijuana play in your artistry?
I guess no. We met. I mean, the classic story is like that we met at the record store. Yeah. And
where was that?
at A1.
Okay.
Oh, at the record shop.
Yeah.
Dope.
I worked at A1 for like 0.5 seconds. It really feels like
You had a job there for a little bit?
It feels like I worked there for 3 days.
I feel like the only way to like actually get a sense of the quantity for people that are watching, A1 Records is like super legendary.
It's like the last legendary
spot
record shop in New York. That's like
in New York.
That's like the
And,
one.
I mean, they have so much quantity of vinyl packed into such a small space.
It's pretty
like to work there is the only way to like actually get a grasp of what's in the shop. You know?
You can actually like look through the records.
Like you can go in there once and never know that they have cabinets full of records behind each one of those records on the wall.
Oh my God!
That are below. Like it's like you would have never known that was there. If you know, it's a lot of records. Like, but yeah, we met there, and then later on, like a week or two later, ran into each other on the street, and we were like, yeah, we should hang out. And we hung out, and like realized that we had a lot of same viewpoints about certain stuff, so we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
Were you already were MoMa Ready and AceMo at that point?
Yeah, we both were established separately pretty well in like our respective communities, and then I would say like, you know, because we had the momentum going from our own things, like I already had residency and radio station.
Yeah, we both like pretty much like brought each other in on each other's like shit.
I was doing things more in downtown, like while downtown.
Yeah, we didn't even know each other. Like, at that point.
We had a lot of like we knew of the same people,
exactly,
like, in the same circles and stuff. So yeah, through that, yeah, I started working at a club with Ace, and then yeah, we helped start a radio station.
Amazing.
Everything just kind of tumbled from there, and then eventually like the AceMoMa project came out from all that energy, and
someone's blowing you up.
Yeah. Damn, I don't remember what I was saying. What was it? But we started.
Yeah, that energy brought. Yeah, that energy. Yeah. While that was happening, we pretty much started making music like straight up.
Like right away. Probably like the second time we hung out with him.
So every time we hang out now, we just like make music and hang out. So it's just like it just becomes a part of the process.
Yeah.
So that's what it started like that. So even it's kind of like how our first tracks are like the Jenkin EP that we first released is like kind of like the first part of us hanging out, and then like and then it goes on to like it's kind of catching up to now, but we're still like telling the story. The story's a little lag behind.
So
I'm curious about your
content that you created that's just like backlog, just getting.
All backlog right now.
Still backlog.
Anything we put out probably in
some of the jams that we made when we first started hanging out are still not released. You know?
And you guys put out so much music. I mean, that's something I notice about you. It's like a constant stream every couple months, which is like, I mean, that's an exciting phase in a career, in your career as artists, right? And it's just like create, and then where the fuck does it even all go?
Yeah, and that's what's cool about now. It's like, okay, this is where we figure out where it all goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is the important part is like that we notice that we have to be like showing everyone and stuff, you know. And that's something that's like that we got blessed with even this time with everyone being home is like even more able to showcase like what we're doing. And like even the stuff that's like not for dance floors or like has a little bit more like, you know, it's more headroom for people to like understand where they're coming from.
Totally. I mean, I there's plenty of projects that I think the original origin idea was from way in the distant past. And as I evolve as a producer, as a songwriter, and like get an idea, it's like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but for me, writing music, especially arrangement, is like all about like cracking the code, you know, can you work the puzzle and like put it together? And, you know, I think I may have had it, but then I might mature and my ideas, my visions might change, or like I'll learn some studio tricks and then I can apply it to an old project. And that's when it can come back into the fold.
That's like a large part of my process, actually, like as an individual producer. And I think we like are using the sharpening.
Yeah, we show
for each of us.
we color codes.
Yeah,
we show we color formulas.
You hear the
And
music
then,
grow that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll add a formula that I learned to like live track, and then he'll do the same thing. We'll do it at the same time for a track. You know.
Yeah.
When we listen to your music, is there one element that's particularly Ace and another element that's particularly MoMa? Like, do you guys or you guys cross?
We trade places often.
Yeah.
I think in our minds it would probably be like me. I like do a lot of percussion, and he does a lot of melody, like especially lead synths.
And then actually, why it adds more to like a harmony.
Yeah, I'm more of like a low, like mids type of guy, and he's like really good with like the high stuff. I'm like learning how to do that stuff, but he's been doing that, like the high.
Yeah,
and it's really fun. Frequency
it's really fun doing stuff live. It's like I can do all that stuff and the harmonic stuff, and then I have a drummer like there.
Yep.
Got your back on that.
So sometimes you're like boo 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 boo, and then sometimes you're like bow 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 bow.
Yeah.
Those are the two different things.
It's that simple.
You guys mentioned the Jenkum EP, and I actually was digging for videos, and I found that video that Jenkum did of you guys. I wanna actually pull that up on the side real quick.
So,
also send you the
we got the music video on that.
I got the music video too. That one I found too.
Okay. Oh.
That's really hard. That's really good. Yeah, so that was like
Here's A1.
That was like my whole part.
So this I skateboarding and breakbeats jungle is like, when we were teenagers, like I wasn't a skater, but like that was the cool shit was drum and bass or jungle and skateboarding. So it's like it's crazy how like, it's come back around, and now skateboarding and jungle is like the start of this video that Jacob made.
True to form. Yeah, actually in front of A1, right?
Yeah, it's kind of exactly. It's true to form. We like formed it.
Wow. There's the shelves behind the shelves.
Oh yeah, see.
That's honestly exactly the place that I was where I'm at.
So, when Eli and when we first linked up, one of the things that like fused us as Soul Clap is that we found that when we went record shopping like this, we would pull so many of the same titles that we decided that let's amass a greater collection instead of buying doubles of everything. Do you share a collection, or do you have your own? How does that work for you guys?
I feel like
we share a couple tracks.
Yeah,
we definitely share stuff that we like, and then I feel like we both like take stuff that we both like out of each thing. Like we're both like maybe a different track out of the same release or something. You know?
If we have releases that we like there are advent tracks that he likes that I don't play, vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Robert Hood tracks.
Robert Hood, he'll play that I don't play, and vice versa. So we have similar sensibilities from different perspectives. Like if we're listening to the same artist, we'll listen to different tracks from the same artist.
I'm sorry. I just see that MIDI controller you're looking on looks like a real piece of shit, and I just want to let you know I have the same one over here, and I'm just pointing out because the keys on mine are also yellowed and discolored.
Don't worry, I upgraded.
I like that.
We upgraded.
I'm just shouting out that old piece of shit MIDI controller because definitely done some great work on it, and I'm just wondering why the color of the keys have turned from white to PP yellow. I just don't understand.
So that the place that we worked at, Hollow, was kind of like a graveyard and landfill of just gear and cords and random converters and every random shit you can maybe get an audio to your computer or something, and I found this random trusty old M audio long keyboard, and I didn't have one. I was like, it works, so
it'll work. And honestly, mine was abandoned at my girlfriend's house when I moved in down here at Miami. So I like that we both share this found crappy M Audio.
I honestly, I lived there.
It was my first one I had down here before I had moved from New York.
You have to use it. Like you have to try something.
Yeah, you got.
If you find like, you gotta try it.
You have no idea what you're like missing.
Find something on the street, like you gotta try it. Like I love that. That's
like a very New York thing. I feel like to like bring in garbage off the street and like make it your own thing. You know,
happens a lot.
Can't do that in Miami, or I don't know, because everything gets rained on here, so it's like you don't want to bring in the
There's nothing like New York. Just finding shit on the side, like on the sidewalk. That's like the only place.
I found. I definitely made some tracks. Actually, the track on the Haus Of Alter comp, the first comp that we put out. I found a bag of CDs in Williamsburg, like going to the movies one day, and it was just like all like R&B 90s stuff from the UK and from like Usher and just like all this like random stuff. That's like, so I found this CD had this really pretty black lady on it, and it said Chimes, and I put it in, and like it's just like this track comes on, and it's like has like a funky drummer, but someone like played it, and she's like really soulful vocals, and it's like super slow, and I was like, oh, it's time to just bring this back to 2020, and I just like put like a techno Jersey club like and house like kind of beat over it, and it just like happened like really fast, and like that came out of like a find on the street, you know, and that's the first track that everyone is just like, and honestly, I hit up the lady who's singing, Pauline Henry. She's the vocalist, and like we're gonna do like shout out Pauline Henry. But like I found that CD on the street, and like I hit her up. She's from England, and she's a singer and songwriter, composer.
And she's about it. She's on board to do some more original stuff with you guys.
So psyched about the track. Oh my god. She has a
track that DJ Spen produced or like remixed from Baltimore that I actually been playing. Yeah, it came out a couple years ago. I used to play it.
Cool. Yeah, she's super stoked. So I'm like, honestly, it's cool to make that connection.
Yeah.
But to like with like past people who made music in the 90s to now, you know, it's like
absolutely.
It's exactly what should be happening.
And it's probably a testament to the niceness of the track that you made. Because
let's put that track on. Which comment is that on Haus Of Alter 10 or 11?
It's the first. It's on Haus Of Alter 10.
It's Heaven, right?
It's the opening track.
Yeah.
Johnny, can you bring up that Haus Of Alter on Bandcamp? I screwed up because we usually start before we bring in our guests. We do the Bandcamp song of the week.
Right. It's all good.
I was going to segue it and play one of your guys' AceMoMa tracks, and then we'll bring you in and we could talk about it. But I forgot.
Well, I think we were excited. So
we were excited. So
it's okay. It's okay to be excited.
So we'll bring in. We'll use this one we'll play a bunch of this. We can play a few of the songs, but for now, this is going to be our Bandcamp song of the week. This is
the
AceMo Heaven
song of the week.
Song of the week.
Get it, Pauline.
Yeah. So I added food for it.
Oh, whatever happened? Here we go. There's no breakdown there. That's not a real breakdown.
Yeah, it's like something. Yeah, this one's gonna bust. Correct.
something.
Don't worry, so yeah, I think it's gonna be more of this in the future. More female vocals.
I really like this, like, you know, bringing in this kind of classic New York house elements.
Yeah.
Or like, even now, it almost is like more, almost like UK rave vibe when you put it
got
on.
a UK rave vibe for sure.
Yeah.
UK. So that's
that's a conversation that's been happening between, I would say, our constituent group in the UK for like the last 5 years, really.
Yeah.
A lot of our music has been interchangeable between like London and Brooklyn. Like,
I could see them going real nuts for that over there with the tempo and the energy, the break beat.
They love it. Yeah, it's already established over there, like big time. So it's like, like, oh, Mike, it's I love it.
Mate, smashing, mate.
Legend, mate. Legend.
Smashed it on that one, mate.
I was gonna say though that like I mean I love how you guys use break beats. You know, it's like I feel like as growing up a jungleist and like just loving breaks, there's like this resurgence that happened the last like 5 years or so, but a lot of it is just so straight and like boring. Yeah. Like what made breakbeats exciting was just like they could go anywhere at any time, you know? And just like it didn't matter. There was no rules to it. Like it would flip the switch up a breakbeat in the middle of a song. Mm-hmm. Like, and like I the way you guys use them is like super free like that, which I love. And I feel like it's got me excited about breakbeats again after kind of getting tired of the kind of new school breakbeat thing that had happened, or like, you know, breaks that had happened. So props for that.
Yeah, I feel like it's just recently I got my grasp on breaks. Like recently, like I've always been making hip hop beats and stuff like that, and like using drum samples, but like once I found out about like jungle and like how speeding it up made it sound like the way it did, that I didn't know how that sounded, you know. Mm-hmm. Once I made that connection, you know, once it happened just recently, you know, and like I feel like me and Wyatt even connected on that, and even that was exciting because it's like, I don't know, I feel like with our people like that are black and brown like us, or like they don't have that conversation a lot, so it's like exciting and it's like new for us, but here in America, you know, it's because it's like maybe not new for people elsewhere, but.
Which conversation are you referring to?
I mean, just like
it's the roots of all this music.
Yeah,
you hear a lot of music, especially music like jungle. I mean, like more aptly like drum and bass, which removes more of the Afro elements from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You hear music like that, you know, and you grow up in certain environments. It's easy.
Yeah, I only heard like heard like jungle stuff was like on TV. Like that was the only place I heard it. Like Cartoon Network, and I was like, what is that? And then like not until like college, like years and years later, and like maybe like other stuff that like hinted at it, like a lot of new metal stuff hinted at with stuff like breaks in it, but like I still didn't even know what it was called, you know. And then like
you said a second ago though that black and brown people don't have that conversation. What do you mean by that?
I guess
equity in the music. Like they don't realize that the music is just as much theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not looked at it that way. A lot of electronic music is viewed through the scope of a European gaze.
For sure. It's completely unknown.
Yeah.
So you didn't even know where it came from.
People nowadays are looking at electronic music through the scope of EDM.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And do you guys feel like that's like a predominantly white art form?
EDM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm asking them. I know what I think. No, it's
the only way. The way I saw it, or like, I mean, the way I got into EDM was like I was into hip hop. I got into like J Dilla and stuff because I wanted to get more into production, and then I found out about like Madlib and then Flying Lotus, and then Flying Lotus started to do like shows and festival stuff, and then he started rubbing hands with like electronic music, stuff like Bass Nectar and stuff like that, and then that's when everything started to like do the EDM thing. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see. Well, you know, it's funny to think that like kind of let's rewind. We've had this conversation with a lot of different artists on the show, right? Like in the UK, I feel like that connection with Black music kind of has always run through dance music. But you know, feeling like with techno and house, like getting so Europeanized, right? Like we lost a lot of the connection, and then also with US kind of electronic music being all about EDM, right? We lost that connection in that way too. But like, you know, American artists, and then there was just like this disconnect. There just wasn't like a lot of younger Black artists coming up in the States. Like, so it's.
I also want to add that it's crazy. I wouldn't say it's crazy to hear you guys say that, but I just want to add on top that like it strikes me to hear you guys say that, because Eli and I, being the historians of dance music, that we love the history of the stuff. Oh, we lose them? You guys still there? Oh, they're there. You know, when you open the history books about like the origins of jungle and breakbeat hardcore in the UK, it's like it goes like this. The acid house comes from America, Chicago, other places, Detroit, whatever, techno, acid house, etc. Goes to the UK, explodes there, and then you have this real segregation going on in the clubs, where the acid house clubs aren't letting in people of color or minorities, etc., or they're feeling, you know, there's some bad shit going on there, and it's because of this of the creative Black and brown producers, DJs being ostracized from acid house, that you have this rise of a new art form altogether, which became jungle and breakbeat. So
and basically laid the foundation for what I was gonna say is that then became like fast forward like 10 years, and that's then becomes dubstep, right? And then dubstep in the UK starts super underground, and like and as you know, also as like a Black music, but then gets totally commodified by white artists in the US and turned into EDM, basically.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
so, like,
crazy.
Created this whole thing.
Like, from the. You know, it's just like here's a Black art form taken overseas, misunderstood. So then, you know, the response is, all right, we're going to take it and do it like this, and then brought back over to the United States. And then, you know, because it's just really, it's fucked up how this keeps happening. But I'm glad that you guys are having that conversation and digging for the roots, because I mean, that's like, you know, that's dope, and it's heavy to think about, but you guys are definitely doing it.
I mean, I've been like experimenting before I met Ace, and then like, as I've been experimenting with like breaks and stuff before I met Ace, and like when we met, it like created a new context for it, like for the both of us, and we were able to like find different and new context for it versus just like the typical way that you would do breaks. In you know, in the now is the way it's done now is very like straight and rigid,
linear.
So, like, you know, coming from what we listen to and like what we enjoy hearing from, you know, our palette of electronic music is like we're just trying to relate to the music that we like. You know what I'm saying? The music that we enjoy listening to, and the music that we enjoy hearing out loud. You know, like so I'm like we make the music that like, you know what I mean? How did we always want electronic music to sound? How did we always want drum bass to sound? How did we always want breaks to sound? How did we always want techno to sound? Right. You know, that's like, so, you know, to speak to your point.
Since like we never had it as like, you know.
So like we had these examples of the music, like through this like European gaze and this American crazy bullshit, you know, the EDM essentially in the Winter Music Conference and that whole area of American dance music. And then, you know, you start to you find out about the canon. When you find out about the actual canon of like Black electronic music and how even certain genres that you don't realize like where the influence is there, and you don't realize like places like Detroit how much influence they have on the canon of electronic music, both American, North American, Black, and like European, you know, and you start to do the tracing back, and then you find out about how like drum and bass and jungle, like the lineage of it, and the fact that it is very Black and mixed, you know, and then you also go back even further and realize that they were also influenced by Black American musicians and producers. So it's like,
oh, forget about it. The drum breaks at the core of all of these songs are coming straight out of soul and R&B and funk. And
you know, as like we're both like, you know, we both have like experience playing instruments in jazz and
dope.
You know, gospel music and gospel music, and so I just like hear the music sounding a certain way, and so does he. We meet in the middle, you know, and that's how the music gets made. It's like based on all of our influences. We're just trying to translate them.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we need to hear it this way, you know. It's like we always wanted to hear it this way. So it's like,
wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like you hear tracks like classics or like tracks that should have been classics and like stuff like that, and it's like, what does this sound like in the now? You know what I'm saying? Like, how would this translate in this modern zeitgeist sonically? And it's not just music for music's sake. It's like
try not to play the track, and also try not to be so like in your face about it too. You know, we want to let the music breathe. That's a big thing.
We let the music make itself based on like we're making this music together, and like I said, we're having a conversation. You know, like we're able to take both of our separate experiences in making music and have a conversation together. Like, all right, well, this is what you do. What if I did this? And so on and so forth until a song is made. And because of that, we're both pretty adept at making music. And the way that we make music, when we come together, the music happens pretty quickly and pretty easily. We like each other as people also, so it makes it a lot easier.
You gotta spend a lot of time together, man.
So what you guys, you mentioned jazz, that's dope. What do you guys, what instruments do you play, or like what's your experience with that? I mean, drummers.
Yeah, well, as a drummer, I grew up playing trumpet. I mean, I honestly wanted to play drums, but there's too many kids playing drums, and they said you should play trumpet.
I was trying to play like trumpet and violin.
Opposite things happens in our music.
Do you cut out for a second? Did you say violin?
Yeah,
you trying to play
violin and trumpet.
Sick.
I wanted to play the trumpet or the violin, and they wouldn't let me. They like put me on the drums instead. I mean, I was
ended up with the other person's instrument. You're like, you got
sign up in music police at school.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Who's like, oh man, you're not reading the music. You are committing a cardinal sin. You are not a musician. I tell you that. That's for sure.
By wanting to play violin.
No, it's just like I don't know. Like you, like, all right. So I want to play violin, right? But for whatever reason, you decide that it would be better for me to learn how to play the drums.
Dude, I remember my like the teacher.
It was very strange that way.
Did some like racist ass shit and was like, "There's a lot of kids playing drums, but like you have nice lips. You should play trumpet." And I remember just being like, "Wow,
wait, what?"
Yeah, you know, I was
like, what? You're like,
that's messed up.
Playing the drums.
Yeah, so I've always felt some like weird, like honestly, some like corny shit with trumpet. Honestly, so
I mean, does it help you to play a brass instrument, non-reeded instrument like a trumpet or a tuba? Do you need to have more substantial lips? Because our friend Greg Paulus is one from No Regular Play. He's one of the best jazz trumpet players that I know personally. I don't think of him I think he's got kind of thinner lips.
It's honestly
he doesn't have big lips, but he's incredible.
It's how you like, you know, put your lips on the mouthpiece and it's the air. Honestly, it's all about air in your air pressure. Yeah, exactly. It's all about lungs.
Trumpet is hard, man. Trumpet is hard.
Trumpet is hard.
Honestly, it's a great thing. Great, like to like learned growing up. You know, the melody and like song is just like in my head because like all these little diddlies and all these little tunes and all the standards that I like memorized like growing up and all that stuff. But yeah, it's
That's pretty cool.
fun to actually like put it to like once I figured out how to like record like MIDI and like audio and stuff like that. It was like exactly what would unlock all that stuff. Like it made all this sense to me now. I was like, oh, this is it. Okay.
I also thought like I played jazz sax as a kid, and you know I love jazz. My dad's like super jazz head. Like I loved it. I love listening to it. But you know, it just at that time it felt like jazz was kind of dead, right? Like I found electronic music, and it was like this is alive. I can go to the club. I can be part of this scene, right? But like jazz is like you go and sit down and you watch somebody and you watch it like you know a band play.
Yeah.
I feel like now jazz
academic.
Yeah, right. It was there was that period.
Yeah, there was no
it's not even jazz anymore. It's just like music. It's just like
it just sounds like music.
Like exactly.
But when you think about like artists like Thundercat and like and Flying Lotus and you know
you think of legendary musicians when you think of like quote unquote jazz. You know?
Right.
So that's what I feel like.
I mean, I feel like jazz is back though now. Like, there's amazing jazz coming out of the UK. There's amazing jazz coming out of LA. Like, cutting edge, like creative, mixing all different things. Not really genre oriented, but more just like jazz connected in a way.
Those definitely feel like the hubs
like,
to me, at least. It's sort of LA and London.
Yeah.
I would say LA and London. I mean, there's a scene in New York, but I would say it's more hip hop related. Other than like. Well, as far as like the modern,
right. It's more infused with the hip hop.
We know a bunch of those kids that are like in that community,
right? Yeah.
But as far as like the older jazz community, obviously, you know, the jazz community is established in New York, but it's like
for sure.
There's obviously a national network of OG jazz in America. Mm-hmm. But I guess we're talking. Oh yeah, Robert Glasper. Can't even forget Robert Glasper.
For sure. Yeah. No, sure.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with Terrace Martin. Is like
Terrace Martin too.
So putting out so much music. Speaking of putting out music, like through this year, he's put out like 5 or 6 EPs and like other projects. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then last year
coming up with that played jazz. Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, I mentioned. I was talking more about like our age group as far as artists when I was the artist that I was mentioning. But yes, Robert Glasper is an important person to mention.
Yeah,
especially
Eli last year put me on to the R+R=Now album, which is like
oh my god,
just I don't know you guys hip to that one, but that's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
Robert Glasper and
Terrace Martin and
Christian Scott.
Yeah, Christian Scott. Yep.
Yeah, my goodness, what an album!
Doing that stuff too, like even a lot of people that I went to school in like Hartford with. There's a lot of people in that jazz community. Like Jonathan Barber is a drummer that I grew up playing. He's like a gospel drummer, but also like an amazing jazz drummer. Plays at like Smalls and all that stuff, and like Yvonne Alexander. This is just a bunch of like there's a lot of musicians coming up in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, like for people watching, if you feel
adding that with our stuff, like
we actually have a jazz project as well.
Yeah,
we also
wow.
Start forming that.
I was just saying, like, if people like the sounds of like house music, the chord progressions of jungle, and the stuff coming out of like 90s, the 90s, and that kind of nostalgia. I mean, go dig for gospel jazz because that's like the origin of so much music that I think people really love. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or maybe you guys don't agree with that.
It's all, no, it's all connected.
Church.
It's all intertwined.
I'm part of a church musician family. So
oh, you guys were looking like, nope, he's not right.
No, but
I mean, that's a whole world of music in itself.
Exactly.
I think is
absolutely.
Yeah, we don't even have the time to speak about how deep that shit goes.
Exactly. That's when someone said amen.
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up as a church. I'm part of a music ministry in my family's church, or I was. I'm not anymore. But like when I was growing up, so everybody in my family's a musician.
Runs deep.
Yeah, very deep. I've been around gospel jazz my whole life, like in person.
Yeah. Do they look at you DJing and say that this is like a cop out for playing live music, or are they supportive?
dad owns like every NPC. Like my dad is like,
Oh, really?
He's a hip hop nerd, so he's like, my parents are pretty open-minded in regards to music. They don't look at anything that any of us are doing creatively in my family and look as if we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, my family loves all kinds of tracks and like music of all kinds, like,
we're allowed to express ourselves like in our families.
Yeah,
like,
and honestly, that's what my dad was, and my parents were just trying to get me and my siblings to do this, to express ourselves, and that's what we're doing. You know, honestly, it's like it's not over their heads, but like they're just like amazed at like all the things that we do. It's like you know, it's cool coming from like the backgrounds that they grew up in. You know?
For sure. And it's absolutely incredible, this platform of DJing, producing, how international it can be like so quickly, and the access for us to be able to be musicians and to tour. Did you guys have a lot planned on the docket on your schedule before this COVID quarantine hit? Was this going to be a big touring year for you guys? I was just asking.
Yeah, we're actually going to be away.
It was a bigger one, the first one for sure.
Yeah, we were going to be. Yeah, was it going to be longer than?
Yeah, it was 2 months. Wow. We had we were going to do a staying tour, and we had a bunch of dates set up already. We were filling it out, and obviously, you know, COVID happened and it was derailed. But both of us are producers, so we were able to keep it together pretty easily, luckily. But as far as DJing is concerned, you know, it's just like live streams and things like that. Yeah, but we had a pretty substantial tour planned.
Yeah, that was the first time. The first time was.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. You gotta like take life the way it comes and just try not to fold. I can't tell COVID what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, honestly, like I was trying to DJ, man. Fuck you. when we were in Europe the first time, I was like, okay, we're gonna come back, and I was just trying to imagine, like, for some reason, something was blocking, like, coming back, and I was like, something. I didn't even want to say it. I don't say things when I feel sometimes, like, even if it's like that, and it's like you know. I was like,
you had a premonition.
Yeah, actually, you know what's like funny enough is we were planning a tour for Asia.
Yeah.
And we had everything was going forward, but like both of us had felt a little uneasy about it. And this is like pre-COVID. This is like has nothing to do with it. It was more like a contextual thing because it was our first tour in Europe. It was our first time traveling together in Asia. You know, because it's like a whole world in itself aside from Western culture. We didn't want to like just jump in without feeling like comfortable in certain regards, you know, like want a little more travel experience so we could do it the right way and like do the shows properly and get properly scaled shows for the people that enjoy our music. So like all that uneasy feeling, you know what I mean? And then like all the stuff pops off and it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? It's like
that's what that was.
You're feeling stuff, you don't necessarily know what it is, but like, you know, the world was about to be at a standstill, and it's like we were being told by our, you know, by our energy, you know, to like pay attention to something other than travel, and like so.
Yeah, I mean that's why making the music is also like really important for us. It's kind of like a journal of all this going on, and like each time we do it is like, you know,
so we both like DJing, but I think for the most part, DJing stresses us both out, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I just like speaking for myself and also me just like being his best friend and see how stressed out he gets when we DJ. So I'm like only in certain scenarios, but like you know, like it's pretty stressful, but like I don't feel that stress when I'm making music. So
yeah,
you know,
that's very true. Yeah,
I'm able to walk away from making.
I think it's always good. I mean, a lesson we learned early on was like, you know, patience always pays off.
Yeah.
Right. If you feel like if you feel like you shouldn't rush into something, you probably shouldn't rush into it.
Oh,
and
my
like,
whole shit has been slow burn for me. I know it looks like I'm moving too fast, but like I've been like trying to, you know, like
We've had like moments where like, no, should we just release everything right now?
Yeah, no, we know because we have a lot of cannon fire, but we have to hold back regularly because you know, so it could all have its proper context. We have a lot of music.
Which is why, honestly, social media is kind of, on our, like, good for us because we can, like, post little clips and 1 minute things and just, gets people like, what is that? And then, like, it's like, can't finish it yet, but, like, it's perfect. It's not.
Tease them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Smart. It's a smart strategy. Might have to take that one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. No, but just going back to what you said, like I mean, we're definitely DJs first. In fact, I think Eli, you were producing like even before I started messing around with it for a little while.
I actually was lucky to go back to talk about music in school. I was lucky that my school actually had a synthesizer program. Like as long as you played in the marching band, you could be in jazz ensemble, you could be in synthesizer class. So like I learned digital performer and MIDI when I was
first too.
What grade are you in? Yeah, I kind of had. So I went to art high school too, half and half. I went to a public school, and I went to also art high school, and I did jazz there too. And that was like also a big part of my like.
Same.
Like
I went to the same type of school.
So yeah, it was like half and half, sort of like studying art or exactly. You're studying some sort of art. I did even photography classes, and then like some production classes.
Art, graphic design.
So yeah, I guess growing up we had like a lot of honestly all that stuff kind of seeps into like what we're doing now still because we still edit videos together and we do. I do the art. Wyatt helps me with the art too. Wyatt does his own art. We all, it's just
it's all like us just doing all of our stuff because we like do a lot. We're both.
Yeah, I actually had a synth class myself, and that was like one of the. We had like this, our teammate teacher like showed us like this mini moon VST, and all of us had like laptops, and he would be like, make a bird sound, and like everybody he would like kind of like show us how to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of sick.
Yeah, it was actually really, really like formative.
So he was on this Bob Ross, but with
it was great. It was great.
You had a Bob Ross looking professor?
Yeah, honestly, he asked me to. He like
Bob
teaches. I did a Zoom class with like his students that he's teaching, and it was like
you just change the attack just like that.
I see.
Shout out Ken Fisher, man.
I'm like reminded of I had a synthesizer class in college out in Los Angeles, and I mean I'm from Boston. We're both from Boston.
I'll take a synthesizer class like anytime.
I mean, it was dope. We had Digital Performer was the platform then because this would have been 2000, 2001, and then there was just an ARP 2600, and that's just like everybody just sat around and try to like figure out like early modular synthesis stuff like that.
Like looking at it, just like wow.
Yeah, it was kind of intimidating because like for. That's like an interesting. People should look that up. ARP 2600. That was one of the first. That was one of the first synths that you could put in a suit. It was like built into a suitcase, so you could travel with it. Because before then, modular synthesizers were like the size of the friggin' wall. But yeah, no. Just I wanted to add that while Eli definitely got a jump on production. Like years before I did, and both DJing and production, I think was what got our start. But since we've been rolling, I've noticed that there's such a different mindset for producing and DJing. Like sometimes I would be like working on something all week long, because I'm like you guys. I'm like constantly making music, and I've also got this big backlog of stuff, and I enjoy that. But like then it'll come up time to go on the road, or even like when I was living in New York. To work on something and then have a show that night in New York or here in Miami, go have a show at night, and I just can't like. I have to put like a few hours, like a chunk of time in. Yeah. I can't go from producer mode into the club and really feel like I'm organized in my mind.
Hell no. I've definitely like done that before.
We've tried to do that.
Or like you have to like DJ mode is like completely different than producer mode. Yeah, it's just like
we have to like psych each other out.
I was gonna say I wish I could be as good I am as making music as I am at DJing, I guess.
Feel the exact same way. Because I can make a track in like 20 minutes, but you want me to like get ready to DJ. It takes me forever. If I try to go in without like knowing what I'm about to do. I don't plan it or anything. I just
there it is. Sorry to cut you off.
That's it.
Insane. That's
art, man.
That's sick.
So this is, yeah, you could see there, you've got like the two, well, people aren't going to know what the heck I'm talking about, but basically it's got two oscillators and people don't even know what the heck that means. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we don't have to get into it. But if you want to know what the heck is going on there, holler at us or holler at AceMoMa and we'll try to run you through how the signal chain works there. But it's pretty dope. And the thing sounds crazy robust, man. It sounds large.
There's a great soft synth of that. Arturia made an amazing one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple.
There is an ARP soft synth. Yeah.
Yeah, the Arturia one is great. It's great.
There's a bunch of them.
Am I tripping?
Yeah.
I love finding different versions of like synthesizers of VSTs that other people have made.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. There's always like some like free soft synth that some guy made of like some random.
Dude, there's an endless amount of free soft synths on the internet. It's kind of crazy, actually.
I want to shout out also the Rollin Cloud stuff is nuts.
Oh yes,
That's really dope. I've been using that more and more.
Honestly, I use a lot of that stuff for the Earth Eater stuff I produced. I use a lot of like the orchestra Roland stuff.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Super now with demystifying music production. Like I love it. Because then we get to hear as many musical perspectives as possible. I feel like that's where like the future of music is going to come from being allowed to make music.
Yeah, babies making concertos like a real thing.
Just because they can. They have
baby concertos.
I think like we work super hard to be able to do things right, like as a culture and as a people, right? So when you have things like the internet that create these resources, and then you have these software developers, whatever, that are going out of their way to create the ability for you to make the music that you love, to make that type of music that we were talking about.
Yeah,
before,
I appreciate that.
The music that influenced us, like you can go in and have a conversation with that music with your own influence because of these VST.
Yeah, even them making like
great.
world instruments too, so people can like find that thing. Like maybe like someone like wanted to make like a world instrument, like
even just like what is it? The stupid. It's like a piece of shit. It's the worst VST ever, but it's the best. The Rave emulator.
Yeah,
it's like a
Rave emulator.
Yeah, it's just all the most head ass rave sounds you can think of that are just like all of the cheesy ones. Yeah, it's got all of them. And if you ever wanted to experiment with that sound,
it has like ADSR and all the samples.
No problem. Yeah, so you can.
I didn't even know about that one.
Shout out the Rave filter.
Rave generator.
There's a rave generator.
The rave generator.
You're welcome. So you're welcome.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Some real hacker.
Honestly, even the interface is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just like a hacker VST. It's not like it's like really shitty put together. It's fun though. It's a good time.
It's sick.
Sometimes it's great to just have those fun, just like the fun things to get the creative flow going. Like just
about that. Yeah, I don't take music making so seriously where I can't make the music.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
Even if it's like
definitely should be fun.
But also like what you mentioned, like, it's like the democratization of music creation, right? Like that's what we've seen, I think, over the last few years. It's like you don't need, I think it started with like Fruity Loops, right? Like Fruity Loops is like, you have to plug in some samples. But it's more and more like anybody can make music, and that's amazing. And like I think also we touched on it before that like I think that can help bring back this connection of like Black people with dance music in America that's been missing.
Easy access. Everybody can fucking mess around with it.
Like most people are not lucky to have a fucking synth class in high school. Like that's like such a rare thing. Like I'm so thankful that my school had that. And like it was like just like the music coordinator there was just like excited about this.
Making me think of just like I should just make a video explaining like ADSR, because who else has videos explaining ADSR? Like it's a tag. We should be doing that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I mean,
knowledge.
I think I walked away from my class in college with something, but I couldn't say that I could really apply that to making music immediately. I think I had to experience and learn for myself, and then realize that I actually had some of that, not like that I did carry it over. Not to mention that my professor was like, he looked like John C. Reilly, but with like gray hair. He looked like Steve Brule, like Brule's rules, Dr. Steve Brule, and he kind of like talked like Harry Carey, and he would be like, oh, and And yeah, he was way into like how electronic music worked with like in a classical sense. So like Philip Glass and Steve Reich, and like it was far out experimenting. And like, you know, I was like had already gone through the rave, and I was interested in, you know, the contemporary electronic music like we're talking about. I mean, it was interesting to learn to hear Steve Reich, especially this one, the it's like with the tape loops, open the blues and let the bruised blood come out to show them across like 50 tape loops. What's the name of that piece? Do you know the name of that piece?
It's I forget it.
Is it the which we're not talking about?
Honestly,
it's interesting. It's like a civil. It's like a sound clip from like from this man that was arrested in a civil rights march.
We got a good freeze frame right there.
Yeah, that's a good freeze frame. Yeah, it's like this guy was arrested for protesting during a civil rights march, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong. And he just said, "I went and pushed on the bruise and let some of the bruised blood come out to show them." And then he took "come out to show them" and split it across and put it on like 50 tape loops, all with like varying degree of speed. So it all starts in unison, but then across like 15 minutes, it splays out and gets just hypnotic and strange. And so, I mean, like, how do you
I was listening to that yesterday.
Look it up.
I've been listening to Mad Villainy, the album, a lot, and Madlib uses that sample. I mean, that song in like the beginning of America's Most Blunted. And it's
crazy.
Like, just like it's like the
talk about like taking like
sampling master. But like it's but you hear that sample and it honestly like it's even more in context because it's like you're showing it to like, the black youth and hip hop in general.
Yeah.
They like listen to that shit, and like that's where I first heard that Steve Reich shit.
That's dope.
So,
that's
dope.
That's like taking it back.
And then in college, my professor was like showing us stuff, and then like I remember like I wasn't really paying attention. And then I heard that, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is like that." And then
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, you honestly just play the beginning of America's Most Blunted.
I think like something we touched on, and like we were just kind of talking about with the democratization of music stuff, and I think just like you guys as young black electronic music artists, and also what you talk about with Haus Of Alter as like really showcasing black culture. Like this is something that we've spoken to other guests about, maybe older, you know, some older artists, older black artists who I think like were really wishing there were more young black artists who were like owning labels, running all the sides of the business, like being able to kind of make the decisions. So you guys have put yourselves in that position. And like, I think that's like, that's something that, was that a conscious thing that you guys did, or like really to take ownership of that and be able to push that forward, or it's something that just happened?
I think we kind of, it was conscious. There's a lack of space that we saw. We both,
that was like a big
came
thing.
up in our separate respective demographics and didn't see enough of us in it.
Yeah, that was like a conversation we like almost immediately had. I was like, bro, you like see like obviously like there's not a lot of.
You can name them on your hand, on like one hand. All the guys that we can look
and there was
up to
even the
like
music that was being played wasn't up to like our standards.
It wasn't at all.
It was just like
with respect
in Brooklyn, and like our little thing that we were like listening.
Save like your DJ Rashads and you know like
of course DJ Spin and like
everybody that came up in the in the 2010 era out in the media as far as
all the people still touring already in like UK already.
Like that representation was super critical and it's like super crucial. But yeah, you know it just like also is a part of another issue that we were also trying to aid as well, which is like canonization, which is like you know, what happens with a lot of modern black electronic music is that it gets decanonized from electronic music and has to be a DJ Rashad in order to get reintroduced back into the canon, which is ridiculous because it all started in the origin spaces of this music. So how can Europe dictate our canon in North America? Does it make sense? And to be quite frank, it's very angering. It's very frustrating. And I'm tired of being like the person that I am and having constituents like the constituents that we have and still being dictated by this European gaze. It doesn't make any sense. So because of that, that's like what we came out with the, you know, the intent on creating a space for modern American dance music of all kinds and to canonize it in the actual canon of dance music and not this sub deep bass, whatever fucking subgenre that they try to put us in on these websites. So
yeah,
we came out with the intention to position young African-American, brown, and Latino producers as the faces of American dance music, because that's what it's supposed to be. Real, actual American dance music, not EDM. You know what I'm saying? And to have that be as equitable as something like EDM. And so that the people that are really making this music can reap genuine benefit from it and not as adjacent to
yeah, you know, and have it not be something that you don't know. You know, have it be a household name because it happened, because it, you know, it's doing what it did for your community, you know?
It's not just like, oh, this one city likes this. No, we're like trying to.
No, every city has this.
It needs to be national now. And
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with projects like Haus Of Alter, it's just like an effort for us to take the energy and momentum that we've created and spread it amongst our peers. So that's
too much of it. Yeah, too much of it is like there are these local scenes, local heroes that don't get put in the conversation, don't get put on the big festivals, don't get looked at in the same way as the white artists making EDM or making more commercial styles of dance music.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it's rare that you actually hear artists starting with such a clear mission in the music, in the label, in the way that music's getting put out. It's like, I mean, like I studied sociology in school, and like one of the big things is like medium is the message, right? So it's like the whole vehicle that you've created is to get this message out.
For sure. I think that's something that also that we didn't see a lot that was really confusing to us. You know, there's not a lot of messages.
Yeah, very empty music.
It's very empty.
No
text.
For sure. Yeah.
How strange is that?
Your bio, like, you know, but the track's fire, and you're like, what? You're like, oh, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
You know.
Also, you're coming up in the blog era. Like we're both relatively young, you know. So like when we are listening to music, it's like 2010. You know, it's like when we're finding really out about all of this that we're discussing in a real sense, and not just like, oh, this sounds cool type of sense. You know what I'm saying? Like finding our identity in the music. And,
I mean,
our representation of that is like blogs and things like that. And what are they showcasing? And they're showcasing very clean, polished, identity-less electronic music at the time. Like if you remember, you know,
I'm so glad you bring this up.
You know, save like James Blake or like Goucher Lustword
for sure,
or like Delbert Edwards. You know, like random guys that would come in and be interesting enough. You know what I mean? But then
those guys that held it up.
You know, there are other people that I could name that, you know, just did it. They didn't do that. And they're still very relevant and still very important in electronic music, but their music was the only representation of what like electronic music sounded like to us at the time. Like, you know, like Kink is sick, but he shouldn't be my idea of what this shit really sounds like. You know what I'm saying? That's talent. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I mean? Like,
I think no, totally. I think like you know, this is why I'm happy to see when I search for you guys that you have reviews on Resident Advisor, that you have reviews on Pitchfork, because these are like historically, traditionally Eurocentric, you know, white centric about the artists that they cover in electronic music. So this is something that like you actually, you know, the fact that they're paying attention and shining a light on what you're doing is such a huge step.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, word.
I think that was a thumbs up.
Yeah, give a thumbs up if your internet connection's rocking. Give a thumbs up.
Sorry.
No.
You want the question?
I was saying that like it's like, you know, sites like you mentioned the blogs like early 2000s, like Resident Advisor and Pitchfork have been so influential, and the electronic music that they have shined a light on over that period of time is just so often European and white. So the fact that they're writing about you guys and what you're doing is actually a massive step. That's validating the mission.
Yeah, no. Like yeah and no. Like none of the press that we receive is solicited. You know what I mean?
That's another thing too.
It's like we don't hit people up to get press. Like
it's cool that it's like rubbing hands, but at the same time, it's like now we know it's just like okay, you guys wrote about us enough.
You know what it is now. You know what I'm saying? Like we know like we're being used and tokenized. We're not like we're not just like it's cool to be like the hottest kids in New York, whatever. But it's like also like our numbers. The amount that we are on these websites, you know what I'm saying? So what happens when that happens is we end up on people with like blue checks.
Yeah, so the people that are right next to us on those lists are literally looking at us
at what we're doing, and then you're gonna start hearing the music change a decent amount over the next year or two. Mark my words. Like I know what we're doing. I know who's buying the music. I know who's looking at our stuff. I'm not stupid, you know what I mean? Like there's enough in our views to see what's about to happen with the music. Like,
that's a hallmark of a great artist, though, is to move and shift as people start to emulate your style. You know, like and like who
electronic music. So it's not like it's like not anything for us to do that. It's not in the sense of like, oh yeah, I can like make whatever I want. It's not really like that. It's more so like I like this. This is what I want to do. It's not an ego thing. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, you're making this type of hot track. Psh, I'm gonna go make a hotter track. No, I'm not doing that. Like, I want to make this type of thing. I'm very childlike when I make music. So is he. We're very like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah, we're trying to like put that on the people, put that on our friends. You know,
it's not competition.
We want everyone to make the music. You know, it shouldn't just be like what we're saying.
That's what it says. The democratization of it's like super important. You know what I'm saying? I think it should be easy for the average kid to pull up and be like, what would it sound like if I were to like open this DAW and mess around and maybe discover something about myself because I'm able to create art that stimulates me as much as the art that I like or listen to or engage in, you know? Like you can start to feel some self-worth from that in any regard, regardless whether people listen to your music or not. You created something that you like. You know
it's taking that ego death, you know, even if you're like anything, at least for a little bit.
I think also there's a lot of like douchebaggery in music and gatekeeping and music, like just like white supremacy in music just and patriarchy in music that just prevent anybody other than a certain type of male from feeling safe in music making spaces.
The way the music
that needs
was
to stop.
Getting described and like how like the way people were using, even like labels were using words like describing their music or something, you know, where it's like it's like hostile.
Yeah, it is hostile. It's like trying to keep you in your place as if they have to do so. And a lot of people don't make music. Critics don't make music. They sit on computers.
No, they really don't. They really don't. Wait, what words pop in your mind that you feel were like these microaggressions?
Oh God, the fucking worst.
Oh, like when I got directly compared to Jeff Mills for my first major release.
Stuff
instantly stunting my growth
or even,
as an artist. Yeah. Like, where do I go from there? That's not fair. Why would you do that?
Like attitude.
I already have all this pressure on my back as an artist and as like who I am in New York, like a major city, a major music city in the world, and I already am carrying all this weight, and you're gonna be like, oh, greatest techno DJ ever next to this guy. Like, you know,
and they were like, this guy's the next Jeff Mills.
Yeah, I can't live up to that. They're like, oh, if you like, it's not fair. You do that. Yeah, you're stunting my growth, and it's lazy because you're not actually looking for more accurate references. My music doesn't sound like Jeff Mills. You know what I mean?
Right. You're saying, oh, here's a black artist making techno again. He sounds like this other black artist that makes techno.
Wow. It's like throw a blanket over it. I have to date 2 techno projects out of like 12 projects that I've released. 2 techno projects. So it's like, really? You know what I'm saying? It's disrespectful. It's lazy and forgotten. When things like that happen, these publications to us, I don't care if a Pitchfork is going to give us a 7.5. Like I don't give a rat's ass about that. I don't care if Resident Advisor is going to mention me every time I breathe on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I don't like because they do this. It's a blessing because we get to take it and bring it to other people.
Exactly.
But it took us a while for us to realize that. For a long time, we felt like, damn.
The thing about Resident Advisor is, you know, either they love you or they don't care.
Exactly.
Right?
It's part of the erasure. It's a part of the erasure. You know what I'm saying?
Like if you're actually going to be something like that, you got to post like literally everything you can find.
Because it's
write
like
about it
you can't
and,
just make it about me or him when it's, like I said, a music city, or like, you know, and it's informed. It's not just New York. It's not just AceMoMa. There's an entire community that you should be paying attention to, and it's not just in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an entire resurgence happening in American dance music right now. And because you see two like handsome black dudes that like pass the brown paper bag test, you think that like that's what you can comfortably post all day, every day. Like, I'm not stupid, you know what I'm saying? I'm just as educated as any other educated black artist. I know what's happening in real time. And you're not doing me a favor by posting my art. And people want to say, oh, you're arrogant, they're helping you out. No, that would assume that I cared about Europe's validation of my music, and I don't. I never have. I don't. It doesn't mean much to me because I know where the canon really is. I know where it started. I know where the energy comes from. And you could reference Kraftwerk all you want, but I also talk about Detroit and Motown and shut all that down. So like I don't know. We have too many links. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we have 150 press links between the two of us. It's absurd. And this happened in 2 years. We've both been making music for a long time before that. And the reason why it frustrates me is our numbers don't reflect it. That's an issue. You know what I'm saying? It means that somebody's being used in some regard.
Exactly.
Well, what do you mean that the numbers don't reflect it, as in your social media numbers, as in the money that you're generating from?
Yeah, like just now, like it's starting to catch up. Like, you know, like
in comparison to who's like watching my story, in comparison to who's like reply guying on my Twitter and all this stuff, it's like, all right, yeah, word. You're gonna reply guy on Twitter, right, with my 4,000 followers, with versus like you're 15 and a blue check. You reply guy, now you're in with like this hot new thing coming up because you have this blue check and this legacy that you created that has nothing to do with me, by the way. So if you do something like play a track of mine or whatever, and then suddenly you have music coming out that sounds like mine, nobody's gonna question it. I know how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what you're saying. There is a value. There is like a value to like connecting generations, right? I mean, like for us to be able to have this conversation, I think it's so important, and like to be inspired by what you guys are doing is really important. There is, however, I think with social media, like you bring up, is like it often oversimplifies the whole thing. And like music journalists, there's no qualifications required to be a music journalist. You know, like where you don't have to write for 10 years in order to be able to write a review. Whereas in order for your music to be good enough for them to pay attention to, you have to write music for 10 years and like hone your craft and do all this shit. Whereas they could just like get hired by Ari yesterday and write something about you like they know something, right? Or also come on social media and be able to like, you know, so that, I mean, there's many sides of all this stuff always, but like, you know, I think it's a super important point to look at it like just now to oversimplify it and really just break artists down and not let them kind of grow and be who they are and all the different sides of them, what color they are, where they come from, the music they create, the music they love, how they grew up. Like every artist has all these sides and it often gets totally oversimplified and forgotten.
100% contextual.
So weird. It's like, I mean, I'm thinking about like artists that I saw while I was like in college growing up, or even like my roommate my roommate in college is Fote. I don't know if you guys know Fote.
Your roommate in college was Fotek?
Fote.
I was like, Fotek. I was like, how is this possible? There's like a 15-year gap between you guys.
It was just like, honestly, like
tight.
That his come up compared to mine is just an interesting thing about the whole entire thing, where he went into like South by Southwest and was touring and doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He released stuff on Bandcamp, kind of doing the same stuff that we're doing now. But he was getting noticed because label stuff and like and honestly, it was easier for him because he was a white person. But I'm just like this conversation we're having is just making me think of that. You know, there's no disrespect to him at all. I love him. We just put out a remix together today, and it's just like I remember feeling some sort of type of way, just being like, why is like if I wasn't working hard enough, or if I wasn't like if my music wasn't at the same like there, but honestly, thinking back on it, I was playing live shows and doing the same exact type of thing,
Yeah.
I just didn't have some sort of or sort of, like, yeah,
well, this is why
it's just an interesting thing to watch and see how.
For sure. I mean, this is why it's so important for Black and brown folks to own labels and own agencies and be gatekeepers as well. And it's also important for us as white artists to acknowledge the privilege that we had by being white and the opportunities that we had from being white. And also to then say, well, if you guys just want to sign Black artists, I'm not going to get pissed off because that's your prerogative. And that's going to balance out all the times that I got signed because, partly because I was white. Right. So it's it's an important thing to acknowledge. And I think a lot of white artists are uncomfortable with that. Right. They feel maybe guilty.
Yeah,
and it's hard for them to acknowledge that and just be like, well, okay, cool. Let's let other people have a platform and have a voice right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid, though, right?
Yeah, for some reason,
it's a problem.
It's just going to shake your boots. Or something.
This thing happens, right, where it's like you can behave a certain way for duration. You decide that, all right, maybe you don't want to behave that way, right? But then when somebody else starts to behave that way in return to you, you expect them to forget the way that you've behaved. And that's what's been happening in all of our cultures when we discuss in music. It's basically essentially like what you said. It's not necessarily like a Nazi shaved head guy in a party going white power. Sign that Black kid because his name was a certain thing. Or it's your homie that didn't sign that Black kid because he couldn't sell his art. There wasn't a market for it. And all the bullshit lies that we get told going to these pitch meetings and having to send our EPKs and all this gatekeeping bullshit that doesn't dictate whether we're talented or not. It's like the classic music business stuff that doesn't even work in electronic music culture, but still we get told that we have to move a certain way in order to be equitable in these communities, and all of it's bullshit. And I think our community just now completely shattered all of that. Because what's happening right now, we're all releasing independently.
Yeah.
None of us are on majors.
Saying this now, it's so now we're gonna restart. I saw Wyatt as we became friends, how this record label is it's like a crown jewel. It's like what is gonna bring everybody together, and if everybody else has these crown jewels that they we can all share with each other now. I'm going to start my own label very soon this month called Sonic Messengers, and we're going to be start sharing that power with all the people around us, and start creating a web in a community that can sustain itself instead of what we were lost in before.
Yeah.
What will be the difference between Sonic Messengers and Haus Of Alter?
Well, it's our brains are slightly different from each other.
Sure.
I'm a kind of a rigid person. Ace is
willing
to do things that I'm not artistic.
Yeah, I'd say it's more more leaning towards improvisation and more jazz. The name comes from the Jazz Messengers.
Oh yeah,
kind of in the same vein, but
cool.
Bringing it to Sonic Messengers with using any acoustic elements to send that message, So,
dig it.
So it's gonna be some shit. It's gonna be, digging into more vocal heavy stuff. I'm collaborating with old jazz friends and my sister, who's a jazz musician and a vocalist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, Walter's more primarily electronic music, I would say.
Yeah,
we should link you up with our buddy Greg Paulus, because he's just over in Williamsburg.
Yeah,
he's tapped into so much. He came from the
New School,
from Roy Hargrove's. He was in the circles around Roy Hargrove before he. I mean, this is a long time ago, and those guys are from Minneapolis, and a whole jazz scene there. That a lot of them moved to New York.
Still slept on. He's a trumpet player that brought hip hop production and jazz together, still slept on.
Yeah, sure. If people are feeling
the wrong era, he was kind of in that in between era when jazz couldn't be more than jazz, right? When jazz could be whatever it wanted.
It's like Jazzmatazz by Guru from it's like the same kind of era. It was like just
Totally.
about where everyone was like kind of like over.
Jazz goes, neo soul goes, hip hop. Yeah, people should check out the RH Factor. RH Factor. That's the group that he worked with a lot of people like Soulquarian and Erica Badu and Common and D'Angelo, and that's some cool music there.
Well, I got a segue because speaking of music, we have this video that you guys did. That's one of your tracks into the other.
Nice. Yes.
And we got to play this. We got to play this. People got to vibe out to this. And also the videos are dope. Did you guys like direct as well?
The fade is very jazz.
The track actually is a jazz track. Like my track, the fade. In the beginning. It's like fully inspired.
Honestly, just imagine a band playing it. That'd be really cool. Shout out the boy in the comment here. Oh, shout out Stella.
Yeah, you could pop some comments up. Shout out to the Myrtle Wyckoff stop. Joe Chill with the pickles.
We've got it in space.
Agree with 100 times Charles.
You just like him because he's another Charles.
I do like him. Charles, I like you, bro.
We are the ones you cannot shame. Remember my name. They were the ones that throw shade. Remember my name. Gold. They were the ones that hate us, but they could never fade.
Oh, Keisha Tina in the house.
Because they bust.
That you're part of the
We were the ones who
Wait, hold up, you gotta say all that again. Let's turn it down a little bit.
Turn the volume
Couldn't
down.
hear you.
Johnny, turn it down and we can test.
Shout out to Johnny Mac though, as he popped in. Johnny Mac, we love you.
So one of the spaces you're seeing some of the stuff filmed, and we were part of throwing a party, and they used like broken cars and like honestly the space was just like huge. There was different rooms in the grave, in the warehouse and such like that. That was just like really cool to me.
Where was the warehouse?
Somewhere in Butler, dude.
Yeah, somewhere in Butler.
Big ass warehouse.
There's not a lot of those left in parties.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was like really big. Huh? Say again?
Oh, I didn't
What'd you say?
Oh, I said there's not a lot of spaces left like that in New York for parties.
Oh yeah, no.
And that spot was like super expensive. We got it on like a fluke.
Oh, what happened?
Like one of
We
those
can keep that rocking?
type of things.
Let's keep it rocking while we can chat.
I mean,
Is there some?
Yeah. You gotta show like the AceMo part too.
You know, we don't do that erasure.
Yep. Turn it up.
This is a really cool.
Turn it up.
This is a really cool thing to have. Like, I thought it's a really important thing to do, having like 2 tracks in one video. It's like a thing that I feel like a lot of even hip hop tracks, like even like interlude type things, you know, that I wouldn't see a lot happening. And I think that's just like a cool.
And it really shows like the two sides of you like next to each other.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, you made it before like AceMo stuff.
Dan Bain, shout you out, bro.
This track is crazy to me because like I made it when I was ready.
Get it with the sound. Get it. You live in the ground. Get it. Get it with the sound. Get it. Get it with the sound. Get it with the sound.
Hey, DJ3 in the house. What up, 3? Little preview. DJ3 is going to be joining us soon. He was supposed to come on a couple months back, but had to reschedule. But that's going to be a great conversation. Love you.
It sounds like this is a song DJ3 would play this track. This is a track DJ3 would be playing.
This would be.
Get it with the sound.
Yeah, filming this is really fun, especially.
It's literally an era of our lives, for sure.
It's amazing to be able to capture that in a music video, an era, a moment.
Yeah, watching it makes me kind of like queasy and emotional. I'm like, damn, life's never gonna be like that again. And that's like crazy.
It's crazy.
Say that out loud. You know, like I hadn't watched the
It's a
video.
beautiful thing
while,
that you were able to create something now that's going to live forever to take you back to that moment in your life. That's the beauty of music videos. I feel like.
We had a lot of footage from that era, like via cell phone and photograph and shit. Luckily,
we're like archivalists.
Yeah, we archive
so
stuff.
we like plan to like compile all the footage that we have one day.
So documentary coming in like 10 years about how this shit went down.
Yep.
You know.
I was gonna say that I mean, both like we talked about like the kind of the UK kind of rave influence as well, but like it also brings me back, and especially like thinking about warehouses to like 90s New York, like Frankie Bones, Sonic Groove, Storm Rave kind of thing, like some break beats, but like fast music, fast and raw, but like still with like a groove to it, which is like a very New York thing, like I feel like there's a sound in New York techno that like is rare. It's when it is a real New York techno track, it has that. It lives in it. Like Joey Beltram.
Yeah, some good
like
shit.
Right,
Exactly. You said at the same time.
Beltram fucking
that
one of
rubber.
godfathers of that sound. Like so you hear what? Like you're gonna listen to E Dancer and all that shit, right? All like the template sounds, right? And then Joey Beltram came and made it angry. he came through and made it aggressive. You know what I mean?
It's like that New York, the Detroit stuff is all like always spinning around to me. Like Detroit techno,
very cosmic. It's very spacey.
Yeah. And then like New York is like, all right, well, I have a bunch of
people gets in there and it's like a train. It's like a fucking train.
Yeah, it's a fucking
it's a train. It's like you're on Earth now.
Yeah, so that's like how we just like we have tracks that sound like that, but we also have the stuff that sounds like chill too.
Yeah, we love all of those different types of sounds, but that New York sound, that techno shit, is something that we definitely didn't hear a lot of, but we loved that sound, and a lot of people are now like bringing that shit back, like Kua, and just a lot of Boomfang and like New York people like they're doing that techno shit.
The real techno shit.
That hard.
Yeah. Oh, Cotton too.
Cotton, yes.
Yeah. There's been a lot of good hard like techno coming from our scene. I feel like the more of the mixed up stuff has been getting more attention, but like the techno stuff here is really strong. Like Ziaro.
Oh yeah.
And Buzzy and Christy and
like techno people really
homies we know that are coming up in like the newer scene that are really talented techno producers making really hard like New York stuff. Like
do you think like
on our Bandcamp.
you know, because we're like, obviously I love it all, right? But like I'm definitely a house head. That's like my heart.
True.
I feel like your generation of artists though is like straight up techno, break beats, like, you know, jungle revival, like just go fast and hard, or like Footwork or like Jersey Club. It's all just like faster, more like energy music.
Urgency.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's how we feel right now.
You're saying why is it faster, or why is it?
Where's
Yeah,
this into
like your generation of artists is much more this like, you know, like faster, more energy sounds, you know, whereas like I feel like
I'm honestly thinking. I've been thinking about that. I mean, like just like fast music in general. Like there wasn't. I mean, like I listened to a lot of different types of music growing up in like salsa and stuff, and like fast jazz and stuff. But like
fast
but then
music,
stuff like that. But like there's not a lot of like regular music that's fast that people listen to all the time.
Yeah.
So tapping into that, I feel like is like new and like honestly like freeing for some people. You know?
Yeah, but it's not like trance, you know. It's like accessible.
Yeah, but it'll put you in a trance, obviously.
Yeah, but it's it's not the typical template of like.
If it's not trance, I don't dance, guys.
No, this is funny though, because like you know we've got this like we've got this like probably. I mean, I don't know. We probably got about 10 years between us in age, and like when Eli and I came into the spotlight, you know, we were like at the tail end of minimal techno. Like it's already gone through the cycles already, and like we were house guys and rave guys, and you know, with like a passion for music with like message and content, and like we were coming of age during a time where people were listening to minimal techno. Like there was really, you know, it's not like these tracks didn't move and groove people, but like there wasn't like this, like there was no words, you know, or for example, so like this thing was really fast, and then you know we came in and we were playing music that was like very slow. Very slow,
like 180
you know what I mean?
BPM, like at the peak of the
like that was like the newest thing, you know, and I mean obviously like as you know, it doesn't matter what the tempo is. I think it does. What we have always said and what we learned is that you know house wears many hats, as in like you know all these different sounds can be like a great body of music for an artist or for a DJ set. But like I see that now that like you know, this super fast thing is, you know, what the grounds that hasn't been covered for a while. You know what I mean?
Sure, you know, and I feel
also, like it also opens it up to so many different genres that like
exactly the interchangeable stuff.
You know, house, jungle, techno.
There's still a 909 hi-hat in there for some reason, you know. But like, so like that's reminding me of house, but like this is not house tempo. But like,
so I just put out a whole album that was like exactly that concept. It's like I'm gonna make super fast deep house and confuse you a little bit. You know what I mean?
I love that though. I love it when a track is like actually so slow in BPM, but sounds like fast as heck.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, like
or like fast,
track that's super fast,
but
it's like it sounds like it's like you can't believe it's actually that fast. You know?
Yeah.
And like I think one way that I heard
200 BPM.
From say what?
I have tracks that are 200 BPM. I have a
200 BPM. Well, I would argue that track is actually 100 BPM.
You would argue?
I would think that your track that you think is, I'm receiving it as only 100 BPM.
The double time might tell you something else.
No, I'm just playing. But like, I can hear with.
If you do have tracks that are like that, the BPMs, like you were saying, they become interchangeable, and I'm able to create a completely new context with that. That's why.
Well, exactly. I mean, and that's what. That was one of that's some of the magic of jungle and drum and bass as it relates to reggae and R&B and stuff like that.
Because you have the halftime component.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's a valuable BPM, so you could change it like midway through the song, and it's still like, you know what I'm saying? It's still a part of the song. It's not changing contextually. It's just halftime. You know?
And that's the wonderful thing about some like real sexy bump and grind R&B is that like it fits really nicely into house music, you know.
And that's
stuff that's why I'm doing that right now. That's why I say these 200 BPM tracks are like actually remixes of like R&B tracks.
It's actually just like jiggy hip hop,
super deep, hard, fast R&B. Yeah. Nothing gets changed about the song. I'm just manipulating the fuck out of it and putting a lot of aggressive
Yeah, now there's like some like weird like polyrhythm element that's like never was there before, and now like the range is covered, you know. So now it's like we're here, you know. It's like,
and so I get to use the additional percussion that's in the song, and it's moving at half the speed, so I can like take percussion and manipulate it and date it and do all types of weird shit, and then all the drums I add underneath are supplementing the original track. So it ends up just being this crazy double time, half time. What the fuck is this? Yeah, it's like I like it a lot. It's been my favorite format of producing music recently.
Well, it's refreshing to hear you guys talk about how much thought and theory that you're putting into the stuff like before it even comes out. You know, I can tell like that's a reason. Dopeness is.
We're definitely going. We're definitely. I feel like
it's not all just like. Serendipitous energy. Like we're definitely like trying to do stuff sometimes, but
that's great, man.
It's always with that like childlike what if energy, you know.
Some of my favorite stuff just came out of like I want to experiment with running this through that and do it this way. You know what I mean? And like it didn't even intend to be a thing, and it was like, oh, it worked. It became something dope.
Yeah.
Someone who's also experimenting and trying a lot of crazy, weird ideas, who we just noticed was in the chat, is Claude Von Stroke, who popped in to shout you guys out. So shout out right back. Barkley, what up, though?
Yeah, also, you know, a lot of jungle influences in his house music. Something that's always
sure
about him.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we actually were almost 2 hours. We've been
nice.
We wanted to talk quickly about Rave the Vote, which I think you guys are playing one of those. I think it's the one after this one next month.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I mean, like we often go deeper on politics. I mean, we touched a little bit about it in dance music, which I think is really important, but also just like, how do you kind of feel like we can influence the bigger conversation as artists? You know, what are you thinking about the election, and like, why'd you agree to participate in this Rave the Vote thing?
I think there's obviously like a lot at stake right now. You know what I'm saying? Like above what your preferences are. I think there's a lot at stake right now. And until we all get on the same page, the other side's not on, you know, they're all on the same page. They know what they want. You know, there's so much infighting and shit on our side that I think when they see people like us, like on a common accord with like just trying to solve one problem, you know what I'm saying? I think it makes it easier to make those sort of decisions when the people that you support are supporting something. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you know, there's a problem with like people in our age group and younger feeling disempowered when it comes to our voting system and it comes to the way politics work in America. And we can't deny that there are an extreme amount of flaws that obviously we couldn't possibly cover in this discussion. But I think, you know, having the knowledge and then still not doing anything is not really like beneficial to anyone. You know what I mean? And I think we all saw that happen in 2016. So
yeah, doing this will, you know, make it hopefully faster. You know, you're doing what we can do to like, you know,
like how do you do your best right now?
Yeah,
like what is your best right now? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's all we can really ask. If somebody has a better solution that they can provide that we can all get on the same page with and do it. But you know, it's like,
no, we're doing
fucking vote at least. Try, you know.
Look, I mean, yeah, the system is broken. It's not like it's not representing everybody. It's not representing most of the people. I feel like at this point, however, is what we got, right? So until there's a better solution, we got to vote. And like, I feel like there's been so much propaganda over the years, you know, for kind of like, you know, people in their 40s and younger, just kind of like feeling like being told that it doesn't matter. Both the parties are the same. You know, the electoral college, well, if you're in this state, it doesn't matter if you vote, but there's so many different ways you can make that difference. Like the local elections, the state elections.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many reasons to vote. So I really appreciate you guys getting on this and
absolutely
inspiring your community.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, it's important for us.
Yeah, we were all very affected by what happened in 2016 and up until now. So we have to do something. It's the least we can do as artists, you know what I'm saying, and as like social activists and things, people that are using music for activism. That, you know, it's a part of our duty in that regard. So.
Amen.
Yeah.
And this was an exciting week as you know, Biden pick a vice president running mate. So
yeah,
that was interesting. Yeah.
Interesting choice, but you know,
it's look, man. This whole thing, it's like no one's gonna be perfect here. I'm like, look, it's historic in that he chose a black woman.
This is a nuanced conversation. I think
You
it's
know?
really what it is. Like, it's a nuanced conversation. And I think we see
Makes
a
it even
conversation
more nuanced
happening on
every
social
time.
media right now between young black people and people that are exasperated by Trump. It's a very, very weird, delicate conversation I think being had right now in response. And I think, I think a lot of people are stuck in between trying to support the black community and hold solidarity, to continue to hold solidarity with the black community, but I also think a lot of people are fucking tired of this orange doing things with complete disregard to anybody but himself. And,
I mean, that's putting it lightly.
Well, I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else can you say that somebody else didn't
will
say?
realize that. Well, like, at least enough people realize that. That's why exactly why we're doing this. So,
I think like what I've been learning from getting more and more active with like voter registration stuff and voting rights stuff is like we're often don't even get to hear about and learn about the policies of the politicians at this point, because this is what social media has done. It's just like so surface, so soundbite, so like image that like this is something that I feel like as I try to educate myself, like, I had one idea about Kamala Harris, and then, immediately saw she got chosen as the vice president. So I started digging in, and actually learning. And yeah, there's like, if you actually look at the policies, there's some things we don't agree with. But then like, as somebody who's an environmental activist, like there's like, she actually does stand like on a good footing, with like fighting climate change and standing up for that stuff. And like, it's always important, I think, to look and like, even then, if there's things we don't always agree with, at least you start to see that these politicians maybe believe in something, right? Yeah. Because it's so easy to feel like they don't believe in shit. They just want to get elected, right?
Right. That's the thing. That's the thing that's been interesting, honestly, seeing what these people's intentions are with any of this stuff. It's like, why are they people there in the first place? Yeah. And then, honestly, we're really realizing that the people that are there in the first place, these politicians, are not good people.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when you really start getting deep in it, you can talk all levels of everything about it in regards to, any specific topic. But, we have too much evidence to show that, the parties themselves are not on our side. And at this point, you have to make a decision about what you care about in a specific sense and try to get as many people to care about that as you can in order to create some type of change and stimulate change. And we've gotten more progress from doing things the way we've been doing culturally for the last 2 months in response to what happened to George Floyd than any amount of legislation and waiting for things to go through the typical channels that they go through. It's been very fast. Things have happened. A lot of things have happened, but also it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like not enough things have happened.
No, the end result needs to be legislation, right? Like that's got to be part of the results here, and like
literal like announcements like all the time, like, but it's not.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that states in America are fucking enormous, and people, even with like the COVID numbers and all this type of shit, like America gets portrayed this one way when each and every state really.
It's a very good point.
In terms of scope, as far as like size is concerned and space. Like in America is a fucking country. Like each state is a country in itself, being governed by one person that's being governed by another guy in a different city somewhere. It's like it doesn't really make any sense. You know what I'm saying? But like that's how America is set up. So you are, as a politician, inherently aren't going to have context for anybody really outside of your state accurately. You know what I'm saying? You can do all the traveling that you want, but because you don't even really identify with the culture that your state embodies, and you're not really, you have no point of reference to that, then all really you can do is be a politician. You know what I'm saying? How can you actually help a community that you have no point of reference for? You know what I'm saying? You don't have any idea how that culture operates in certain regards. So how can you do the best for them? You know what I'm saying? And you tell people to like elect locally, but then they get redlined by the federal government. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's America's just got like kind of a weird setup, you know what I mean? And I think we get in these global conversations about how things are supposed to be,
right? And everybody's like, but it's like America's
really big. There's a lot of people in governance. 300 million people here, like plus. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's bigger than Europe. In Europe, a bunch of countries. Like that's
what I'm talking about.
All
like,
right there.
Reading the numbers, it's like crazy. It's like, how are you guys doing this same thing? Like, why aren't the states separated in these conversations? And like, you know, we're doing like obviously you can weaponize that and like put it against Trump, and that's fully like credible to do that. Do whatever you want to do with that information. But it's like really like how could you protect each and every state? You know, the way things are, if it was already so hard to get the government to help anyway when there was a crisis, and this whole thing is affecting the country at like Mach 10 speed, like right, and it keeps reoccurring.
That's a really good point.
There's been a lot of energy by the right and by the Republicans to kind of push to like make the federal government smaller and put more responsibilities on the states over the last 10, 15 years.
I think it's really necessary to do that, to be honest with you. So people that don't live in these states that aren't supportive of progressive American culture can stay to themselves and not isolate, just like be themselves. So we don't have to expect them to change, so we can survive and live in this country as marginalized people in this country. I'm tired of trying to convince people to be better. Yeah, it's like you don't need to be better, I guess, at this point if you don't want to be, but you can at least get away from me. You know what I'm saying? Like at a minimum, you know what I mean? Like why did they want to recede? Nobody really they wanted to recede because of a human right issue. Why do you want to be around that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's a human right issue, and then you manipulate a religious book to benefit you by undercutting an entire passage in this Bible that says no man shall own a slave or steal a man by telling a man that he's only 3/4 of a man. Like I don't want to be anywhere near that. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel as though it's necessary for states to have more control, which it is considering the size of the fucking country, then it needs to be like that. So New York can continue to be New York, and everywhere else can go do whatever they're doing. LA is trying to do that shit anyway. So
this is why this is also why it's like it's so important to participate in the local elections, you know, and state elections.
I'm just talking out my ass, by the way.
No.
I don't have any
I'm trying to contextualize.
This is schmoozing, so it's okay. You know, that's what we're doing.
What I'm talking about, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like the way that the current constructs get manipulated by the federal government doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be that easy for it to go down like that.
Exactly. There is a lot of good shit happening in New York. I mean, to be fair, like because the Democrats took the state Senate and the state House. Yeah. This last election, there's a ton of progressive legislation that's gone through, and that's like how you see how states can actually make bigger differences in the federal government. So like what we're seeing
also being held to, we're held to an international standard because it's an international city. Right. So like
it's too bad the mayor's a fucking dingus though. I mean,
I was even gonna, you know what I'm talking about though? Like they at least gotta make shit kind of look good, like at least a little bit. Because, like, you know, they have the UN in New York and like shit like that. So, you know, like New York at a minimum has to have some level of operation, you know what I mean, or be working towards some level of operation in one regard or another.
It's New York has to
it's New York, you know, especially nowadays, you know, in this modern post 9/11, you know what I mean? Like New York is this at the center of so many different conversations politically, especially now with COVID and all this type of shit that we have to move differently.
Looking at New York to see what happens next with the COVID situation.
Whether things get better or worse or whatever, we're gonna see. Right now, it's up to everybody like out in the streets right now, as far as that's concerned. You know, we're in phase 3 now. We're going to phase 3 soon. We're not there yet, right?
I mean, I know that honestly, even states around us, and like probably upstate, they're like you're probably in some
people are out open,
upstate, you can eat inside of restaurants.
You can do all that. It's chill. It's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
Is it like that in Miami? I mean, I feel like in cities it's a little bit more like.
Sure.
I mean, Miami's just so like lawless. Like it's always been lawless. Like if you want to go someplace and just not follow any rules, go to Florida. Like what do you want to do? You want to like drive your golf cart on the expressway? Just sure. You want to like kiss an alligator on the lips? Sure. You want to just like fire randomly into the air? Yeah, sure. They don't seem to have a problem with that here.
Right.
But ask someone to wear a mask as a courtesy, and it's
So
a
what if they
friggin'
wanted
uproar.
to be, in
Its own country.
like do that, feel me? Like,
Well, I mean, Florida is its own country, and Miami is an island within that country.
you get what I mean? It
That's
already
a
is.
chill island.
Yeah, we need to
I
establish
try
this.
not to go off the island because the rest of the country is a little ass
Texas
backwards.
most definitely its own country. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like,
For sure.
like we all heard the driving analogies about Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like you keep
What's the
driving, you wake up driving through Texas, and you're still in Texas.
If you fall asleep driving, you wake up, you're still in
Fall
Texas.
asleep driving in Texas, you wake up still driving in Texas.
Well,
You're
having
like,
crisscross Texas a number of times.
it's deep,
I don't know if
bro.
that's actually true. If you're driving in circles, I mean,
Saturation.
yeah, I mean it's huge.
The middle
It's
section,
huge.
it's like the small bottom. So
It's
if you're driving through that,
I think we should just give Texas to Mexico. Let them deal with that shit.
yeah, right. Damn, it
I
used
don't
to
know.
be
I would still shout out. I got to shout out all my people in Dallas and in Austin.
Oh, that would be start a war, man. I don't know if that would be sick.
No, I'm fucking around. I'm just joking.
No, but you're right. It did belong
That
to
would be
them.
kind of tumultuous. Yeah, I
That
mean,
would be
that
bad. That would be really bad.
would be
I think
sick.
everybody would be very upset.
It's like, damn, so you're just gonna leave us and have to figure this border situation out?
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair to Mexico.
Leave us to the
Sorry,
world.
Mexico.
Not fair to Mexico.
I'm sorry, Mexico.
Damn, you're gonna leave it. Yeah, that's so they apologize to Mexico.
Yeah.
Not even Texas.
Nope.
But Dan, this has been a super good conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
you guys are dope. Thank you so much for participating with Ray the Vote and just
sure.
being
Yeah,
that connection to your community of creatives. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Do you have
dope.
anything you want to plug before we bounce?
I just released something on Bandcamp.
I just released the album on Bandcamp.
I just released something on
Tight.
Bandcamp.
Something on Bandcamp.
We're gonna honestly watch our socials.
Watch
We're
our
gonna be
socials.
releasing more music, and
Tons
all
of
that
music.
stuff.
Yo.
Quick, keep up.
I mean, we're huge supporters of Bandcamp. So, like, look, if you're not already following them on Bandcamp, if you're not already on Bandcamp, get your ass on Bandcamp.
Get your ass on
Follow
Bandcamp.
Haus of Alter. Follow AceMo.
Also, everyone who's on
Follow
Bandcamp,
MoMa Ready.
Real talk.
because you guys
You guys are
really-
the saviors of life.
Thank you so
And
much.
we appreciate you heavily with all the love in our hearts.
It's really,
Yep.
Thank you very much.
No doubt.
But yeah,
It's the
go
present
cop
and
the
the
Haus
future.
of Alter compilations.
yes. Also, the House of Alter.
So you can hear the future of American dance music and take this shit seriously.
I like that.
Haus of Alter 010, Haus of Alter 011. Important projects.
And then
Not 'cause
also
I made them.
maybe another one coming soon.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the next one's coming out. Who knows? Sooner than you think.
Tight.
So,
And if
keep your eyes
people want to like holler at and smoke on some Pink Panther,
LOL.
where Pink Panther at?
Maybe send us again. Maybe we'll point you in the right direction.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, good.
Stop shit. Yeah, LOL. All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, peace,
Yeah,
guys. Thank you.
These guys are dope.
Yep.
That was awesome. I'm feeling the energies.
It's good to see, next generation representing and having such a clear vision for what they want to do. I love that. That's so
For
dope.
sure. And I'm loving that the rooted in jazz and gospel. That's just it. Those are it's the form.
And there's so much music to go get deep on. If you're just hearing about these guys, then definitely get digging on Bandcamp because it's just endless. So, and it's worth every minute getting deep on it. So
For sure. And I'm just so jealous that gospel is so tight and like klezmer and klezmer's kind of tight, but like we just didn't listen to dope music and
growing up, luckily my dad was a jazz
that
head.
dope. No, I'm not saying I didn't listen
Oh,
to
you mean
dope
in
music.
temple? Oh,
I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
in like
yeah,
Hebrew
yeah.
school, like it just wasn't tight.
Right.
Klezmer is, it's cool. I like clarinet.
Clarinet's an underrated instrument.
I mean, remember the clarinet on that Midnight Magic? That
Oh yeah. Ooh.
what record is it? Night? No. It's on the what's the name of that? Cherry.
Black Cherry.
Black Cherry. Check out Black Cherry by Midnight Magic on Soul Clap Records.
All right.
Woo!
And so what we got coming up? We got coming up this Friday is Rave the Vote, episode
That's
2. Got some big names on that. Justin Martin, DJ Heather,
Out.
bunch of other dope artists on there.
That's gonna be great.
We could wait. You know what? We got a whole promo with all their names. Johnny,
Let's
run that
roll the
promo.
trailer.
About as moist as cake can be.
Where are you?
I've run into a problem. The city had planned Well, we got a really amazing lineup of wonderful people here for a really good cause. Right here, yeah. Raise the vote.
Big tings.
Big tings.
And what? Next week I'm on vacation, but you got our boy Mr. V.
Shout out the one and only Mr. V. I will be schmoozing with him. We'll be talking about stuff. It's great. He's super entertaining.
Fill his chair and my chair as well. That's how much personality that man has.
Yeah, V tings. We love him.
And then week after that's DJ Spinna. So keeping it moving with dope artists here on Schmoozing.
That's right. And we are finalizing the next September's calendar of guests, and it is exciting. So we're gonna release that soon.
All right. Yeah.
Very dope.
We got what? Vinyl thoughts.
Yeah, let's just end on vinyl thoughts.
Yeah.
We were talking a bunch about jungle, breakbeats, drum and bass today, so thought it would be appropriate to end on a jungly note. Massive. And look, we're fans of D-Light. Wonderful remix of the track Call Me. I believe it was from Method 1. Remixed that one. So I'm going to switch over. Talk to him about that, Eli, as I cue this up.
Well, I mean, D-Light's another kind of revolutionary New York artist crew collective. In the 90s, they took the sound of the club and kind of threw some positive political messages in there and brought all the different sounds of New York together into a critically acclaimed band. And, we love them. They had some amazing moments, and this is one of them right here. See you guys next week. Peace.